Hey guys, I got another article that I want to read to you. It's right off of my WordPress website. My blog is called Big Mama's Blog, and I want to read you this story. And I know that it might be long because it said on WordPress that it would take a person 11 minutes to read, and maybe that's why I only have 7 views. So, and first and foremost, I was thank my viewers for viewing me, and thank you to my subscribers. And please subscribe below if you want to see more of my videos. So, the title of the article or story is it's a fictional story. So, don't think any of this is true. It's just a fictional story, and it's called "Oh, those people ruined my baby shower." I remember it like it was yesterday. Picture this. It was the summer of 2005. I was 8.5 months pregnant with my second daughter. I was so happy. The ladies that I worked with said I was practically glowing. They were more excited than I was to have this baby shower. I was married to a chef at the time. We'll call him Mark. Mark was a loving, caring husband. He and his family were from another country and a totally different culture. We got along just the same. There's great value in that old saying: when you marry someone, you marry their entire family. This saying rang true on this humid August evening. I left work around 5 p.m. As I was leaving, I bragged to the ladies that my husband, the chef, was going to bring some deli plates and a homemade cake to the shower. The ladies smiled with delight. The arrangement was that I go to the baby shower after work, and my husband would pick me up there, but he had to make a quick stop and to pick up the food he had prepared early that morning. I text Mark the address. Mark texts back, "Be there soon, love you." I arrived at my co-worker's beautiful home in Alpharetta. It was nothing like I had ever seen before. My co-worker was named Althea. Her driveway was a roundabout covered in cobblestone. In the center of the lush fountain that had butterfly figurines that seemed to float gently around the fountain sides. As I parked my Jeep in her driveway, I caught my mouth being slightly open in awe of her house. Her house was painted in a soft marigold. The style of her home was something out of old Hollywood. It was just glamorous. "Well, look at you," Althea said. "Aren't you ready to pop?" She hugged me with all her might and said, "You know I'm just messing with you, my friend. Come on in." When I entered the home, I was puzzled because it was awfully dark. I didn't realize that some of my friends had arrived early. The brightest of lights came on and a crowd yelled, "Surprise!" I was so pleasantly surprised. It took a few moments for my eyes to get adjusted to the light, but as they did, I could not help but gaze at the decorations. From the vaulted ceilings, streamers embossed with baby carriages seemed to trickle down. Some of them touched my auburn brown cheeks. I was witnessing, I texted my husband about what I was witnessing. There was no response back. It was about 6 p.m. at the time. I just assumed he had made more deli and fruit trays to bring. Mark was known at the time to be an under-promise and over-deliver type of guy. It took a moment to look at all the gifts. Some were very small, while others were my height. All I could think of was that I could not wait until Mark gets here because we are going to need 2 cars to bring all these gifts home. Each gift was beautifully decorated. One of the bow of each gift had a Swarovski crystal figurine, and that consisted of rattles, baby carriages, and one that stood out for me was a crystal tricycle. I cherished that figurine the most because I confided in one of my friends that my hardworking parents could not afford to get me a red tricycle that I wanted. I can still picture her smile and her pure joy. Oh, I'm sorry. My oldest daughter at the time, I just got thrown off. I'm sorry. Okay, my oldest daughter at the time was 7 and grew out of hers. I can still picture her smile and pure joy as she rode hers. As I looked around to all the smiling faces of the great ladies that I worked with at Lord & Taylor, I began to cry. We had been through so many ups and downs, and that we had just became sisters. A voice belted out from the back of the crowd. "Stop all that crying. There will be no crying at this baby shower." Valinia hated to see anyone cry. She was the go-to person at work when we needed cheering up. Valinia asked, "Where's that great husband of yours? We brought our appetites, now where's the food?" Valinia was right. It was almost 7 p.m. Mark would have called by now to let me know that he's running late. I grinned at Valinia and the other ladies as my stomach churned with anxiety. Mark would have not been late. He knew that this meant too much to me. I excused myself and called my sister, Elena. I was the baby of 3 girls. I always found comfort in my big sister looking out for me. Elena said, "Don't worry, I'll find him for you." Minutes seemed like hours. I asked my friends to proceed with the baby shower as I assured them that he would be here at least to help me wrestle with all these gifts in our cars. Maybe he got lost. Maybe he got into an accident and needed help. My heart sunk and my mind went from one extreme to the next. My phone kept vibrating. When I went to check the caller ID, there was an unrecognizable numbers, a series of them. I finally answered one of the calls. It was from Mark's favorite uncle. He talked to me as if I was a stranger. He said, "Where the hell is Mark? What did you do to him? I swear to God, if you have done something to him, I swear to God." I was shocked. Did one of my in-laws that I frequently visited and sometimes cared for, his daughters, was now accusing me of foul play? I said, "What the hell are you talking about? I'm looking for him too. How dare you accuse me of doing something to Mark? Go find him yourself and leave me the hell alone." One call after another was a threat to not only my life, but the life of my unborn child. My hands began to shake. My heart felt like it was beating in my throat. I stepped away from the festivities to go to the bathroom. I needed somewhere quiet to gather my wit and call Elena back. By this time, I began to cry. It was a kind of crying that when you try to suppress it, it hurts in the back of your throat. As I walked down the corridor that seemed to go on for what felt like miles, one of my coworkers stopped me. She grabbed me by the shoulders and demanded to know what's wrong. As I rubbed my tears from my face and told her that I was just overwhelmed with emotions about how beautiful the shower was. Part of that was true, so I didn't feel too guilty. When I reached the bathroom and I proceeded to bellow out a moan that I'd never heard before, to prevent me from grabbing attention of my friends, I bit down on one of the guest towels. I stuffed my face in the towel and screamed. My scream was so muffled, combined with the loud music from the party, that no one could hear me. I looked in the mirror and I began to wash my face. I remember always doing that as a child. My mother told me to. Like my mother told me to. As I would begin to cleanse my face, I could hear my mother's words. There, just let it roll off your back like a swan. When I stopped answering my in-laws' threatening calls, they began to text me threats. One text came from my mother-in-law. It read, I knew when I first laid my eyes on you that you were no good for Mark. I will get you for this. One threat after another felt like each in-law had a dagger and was stabbing me with it. I would have turned off the phone, but I was faithfully waiting for Elena's call. I stared at the red Motorola phone screen with such intensity that as if I was willing my sister to call me back. Elena called. She said, sis, you're not going to believe this. Mark is in jail for shoplifting. He stole a pack of razor blades. I called the store, and the store manager stated that they gave Mark a chance to admit that he did it, but he ran through the store, continued to resist. Their security guard had no choice but call the police. I didn't notice it, but I had sat down on the side of Athea's tub in pure and utter disbelief. Just a few days earlier, we had shopped together at the same store. We were doing what we always did, get groceries. I just remember walking down the men's aisle, and I saw Mark admiring the shaving blades in the case. They were $20. I especially asked him if he wanted me to get an associate to open the case to get one. He never bought something for himself. He just shook his head and proceeded to shop. I heard what Elena said, but I asked her to repeat the part where she said Mark was in jail again. During this moment, I was trying to see logic in why Mark would do something so foolish. I mean, we're not living paycheck to paycheck. I had saved enough money from working overtime at Lord & Taylor to take 3 months off after the baby was born. I literally scratched my head as if it would magically trigger a reason why you'd risk so much for some $20 shaving blades. Minutes later, the threatening calls and texts stopped. Then one final call came in. It was from Mark's favorite uncle. He apologized profusely for all the terrible things that he'd said and the lies of foul play that he told the rest of the family. He said that my sister-in-law started the rumors, and she was so believable. I never said a word to him. This was the last time I heard his uncle's voice. Mark's sister never liked me. First, I thought it was because I'm black. Then I remembered years ago, Mark asked if she could stay with us. She had an altercation with my mother-in-law that I was really close to and nearly broke my mother-in-law's arm. I said to Mark, if someone can physically abuse their own mother, how can they be safe around our infant daughter? Mark agreed and told her that she could not stay. Mark's sister, Tony, was an angry and bitter young woman at the time. She was a self-proclaimed alpha of my in-laws' house. Whenever I came to visit my mother-in-law, Tony was always yelling at her and her brothers. She would berate them in front of me. Mark is her older brother. Tony became infuriated because she could not berate him in my presence. I wouldn't allow it. For instance, I heard Felicia say, "Where's Alicia?" Which is me. Where's Alicia go? I mean, it's not me, but it's a character. That's my character's name. The party was coming to a close. I felt bad because I didn't get a chance to open all the gifts. Felicia assured me that it was okay. In the pouring rain, my friend and co-workers packed my Jeep strategically. To my surprise, all my gifts fit every nook and cranny of my Jeep. Many of my friends asked where Mark was and wondered why he wasn't here to help to take the gifts home. While swallowing what pride I had left, I told all the ladies that my husband had to work a double shift. As I got into my Jeep Cherokee, I said to myself, how am I going to get home? How are we going to get past this? How did my in-laws ruin such a special day for me? The drive home was so quiet. Even in the pouring rain, the raindrops fell silently on my windshield. I began to cry so hard that my baby started to kick. Rubbing my stomach, I told us, that everything will be okay. We finally made it home. My front door was ajar. From the distance, I could see my lamps were laying on the floor, but they were still on. I proceeded forward, but I was scared. I called out to Mark to see if he was home. For a brief moment, I thought this night was a bad dream. The front door had been kicked in. It looked like someone had been searching for something, but nothing was missing. Then my sister just texted me that Mark was coming home tonight. His mother had bailed him out. Elena asked me if I felt more comfortable if she came over. I could hear the fear in her voice. I was scared too, but I told her that it was going to be okay. For some reason, I felt confident that a higher power was protecting me. I let out a big sigh, picked up the lamp, then I proceeded to take the gifts out of the Jeep as if nothing happened. Luckily, the rain had stopped. One by one, I walked down my driveway to take the gifts out of the car. I looked at each gift as if they were my only totems to sanity that remained from such a bizarre chain of events. Out of the blue, the nosy neighbors, and you know you got those nosy neighbors, I got them too, briskly approached me to ask if everything was okay. They were tripping over their words in excitement. Evidently, several Cobb County's finest were in front of my house. they were yelling Mark's name as Tony told them her version of events, not only to the police, but to the nosy neighbors as well. I reassured them that it was all a misunderstanding. The husband of the neighbor started gently pull his wife back into the house. The wife's eyes were so electrified that I thought she would start foaming at the mouth. She bit her lower lip to prevent herself from being any more intrusive. Then she went to her house and peeked through the front window. I was filled with adrenaline due to this terrible event that had occurred, but my mind was on autopilot too. Without even realizing it, I had unpacked all the gifts from my Jeep and placed them neatly in the baby's room. As I tried to close my dinged up door, I noticed a familiar car pull up in my driveway. It was Mark and my mother-in-law. Mark walked down the driveway, then up the stairs to come inside. As I began to close the front door, I saw a hand grasp the door and push it open. To my surprise, she did not invade our home to apologize for her irrational behavior. My mother-in-law stated that it was my fault that Mark was arrested. If she married someone else white and from his country, then there wouldn't have been an issue. Mark looked so small and pathetic. For a brief moment, I felt sorry for him. Then he stated that this was all set up by the police because he's from another country. Mark speaks nearly perfect English. I should know I taught him. I also knew that whenever he would lie or he's caught up in a lie, his accent would appear. I shook my head in disbelief. In my mind, I said, here stands two fools. One white man that is stating that he's shopping while white by the store manager and the police. Then there's his mother rolling her neck and threatening to beat me up at the same time. A feeling of liquid fire came over my body. I spoke in such a deep tone. It rose from the soul like a phoenix from the ashes. I looked at my mother-in-law and told her to get off my property or I'll call the police. I looked at my soon-to-be ex-husband and told him that he better get himself upstairs and go to bed because he had a long day of work ahead of him. I slammed the front door and went to bed. It has been 10 glorious years since I divorced Mark, and my in-laws are out of my lives. And when I say out of our lives, I mean my 3 beautiful daughters and I. Do I hate Mark? No. Has he caused me to see foreign people in a different light? It should have. However, that would have caused me to negate part of my own children's existence. The end. I know it was long, and I just wanted to express that. And yeah, go to WordPress and go to Baby Mama's blog, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, leave a comment of feedback. But I appreciate you guys listening again and following me on this journey. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.